Welcome to the Town Council Bylaw Review Committee meeting of October 7th, 2020. I would like to open the meeting. And number one on the agenda is approval of September 30, 2020 minutes. I've had a chance to review them. I have no concerns. I'm open for suggestions.
No, everything looked good to me.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Who
Thank
did
you,
that?
Bill. Yes?
Who made the motion?
I did.
Okay, thanks.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. All right, roll call. Bill?
Yes.
Ralph?
Abstain.
Yes, appropriately so. Tom?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So with that abstention, our next point of news, obviously, is that Tom has had to back off of the board, Tom O'Connor, and he's got so many things going on that he wasn't able to continue. But he did send me his stuff last week, so I am prepared to discuss his pages 11 through 20 at some future point in time. And we've already asked for someone else to join. I haven't heard anything from anyone or from our president. So for now, it's the four of us and Jeannie, whenever she can help out, and she's obviously very important to this because she's going to.
So, Pat, do you think it's going to be difficult to get somebody and bring them up to speed? That's my only concern.
Yes, it will be difficult, but it depends on the person too. Let's say.
Well, I agree. I agree.
Let's say if it was Marilyn,
Right.
she'd dive right in.
Yeah, but I mean, we're all busy. I mean, it's just, everybody's consumed by Zoom.
If we can't get anybody, I think we'll be able to do it ourselves. I know I've done the first pages A1 through 10, and I've reviewed the stuff Tom sent me from A11 through 20. So they're pretty much underway. And I do have some other issues, and I do have some follow-up on the things from my A1 through 10 last time, and from the table of contents. I think we'd be fine.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think so too. I'm just, because we're, let's say, I don't want to say 3/4 of the way through, but we're more than halfway through because we are working on a draft that will be sent back. So, all right, we'll just forge ahead.
Right, so. Okay, anybody else have something to raise? Ralph?
I do. Obviously, I missed the last meeting and there was a couple votes. And I just wanted to get clarification as to reasoning. Under the table of contents, I guess there was a vote to change the location of the town manager. Now, my first question is the town manager a department? I mean, there's multiple people that work there. Do we consider the town manager's office a department or not?
Well, that was the issue. We didn't consider the town manager a department. We consider it a standalone. And that's why we moved it up under the first section, town council.
Well, we moved it up under administrative legislation.
Yes.
From what I could see.
Which is where the council is.
Well, and I believe the reason that the council was put in there is because they're the legislature, where the town manager is executive along with the departments. That was my thought process when we initially did the actual breakdown of this. And again, that's what I'm trying to get a general feel for. So are we going to move under administrative legislation? Number one will be the town manager, being that she's at the top of it. So it would be like chapter 1 would be town manager. From the minutes, I couldn't really tell. I just knew we were moving her up there. I just didn't know a location or anything.
Well, I don't think we selected an exact location because we had two options. One was to leave her office under multiple member bodies and the first department. As the
It would
first
be under departments, yes.
under departments, as the first department. And there was talk about, well, that's out of order, but that would be where somebody would look first if they thought she was a department.
Yep.
And we thought, well, maybe they would also see her more likely right up front at the very top of the table of contents.
And I don't have any problems moving it up there to the very top. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to relocate this and all. I know E-Code's going to be doing that.
So Ralph, I think we started because where the town manager, clerk, and attorney were in a heading that was not a town department. It was officers and employees. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So then we got into the discussion of, is the town manager an actual department? Obviously the clerk is, the attorney isn't. So where are they going to go? I think Pat even brought up another, like, part 2 something, so that it was
Right.
there was maybe she had her own section or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was my other thought, is maybe we start and just shift part 1, part 2, and put her at the very top, town manager. And then part 2 would become administrative legislation, and part 3 would become departments. And again, I'm just trying to get a general feel for what the thought process was. And under town clerk, I know that's going to be moved. Is it going to be town clerk department? And so it would be alphabetical under T?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just trying, I got my whole thing and I'm trying to put it in the right location, so.
Well, I don't think anybody wants to create another part.
Yep.
So I think the choice was put her under departments, hoping people will find her there, and list her first, even though it's not alphabetical.
Okay.
So manager,
Yep.
followed by council on aging, or stick her up in administrative legislation as, say, section 40 or section 38 or something right underneath, so that we wouldn't have to violate the department because she's
Right.
technically a department. And that's the way we came down. Does anybody want to revisit that?
I don't think it needs revisiting. I was just trying to figure out where to actually put her on my sheet so that I know where everything goes. So I'm assuming we're going to move town manager up there, and then town attorney will go basically like a subheading under the town manager.
Precisely.
Okay.
Yep.
And it could be chapter 38, it could be chapter 50, I don't know.
Yeah, they're going
They're going to do whatever. They're going to do it.
Exactly.
And they're
So-
certainly going to renumber if we number. So we'll just let them
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because now we don't need officers and employees because those were the only 3 listed under it. So those can be removed. That's
Exactly.
section 105.
Yep.
Right.
But we felt no one would find her there.
Probably not. She may actually like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You're right there.
Well, there's no wrong way either. It's just what makes more sense, right?
Exactly.
Right. Because she's
It
not.
does. It makes a lot of sense because when you open it up, you're going to want to look, although most people are going to go online and
Mhm.
there's a lot of pages.
It's still on page 1.
Yeah.
Right.
My next question had to do with the building department. You guys had decided to create its own department.
Actually, no. Actually, I went to Mary to check on that. So we pushed it off until I could go and ask Mary about it. And she did say it should stand alone. It does not report to Bethany.
But the charter specifically states that there will be a planning and community development department.
Yes,
which under that department will be the building department, the planning department, conservation committee, zoning board of appeals.
oh, the charter says that?
The charter specifically says that.
Yeah, that was what we were discussing about. Somebody from one of the directors of one of those departments can be named the planning and community development director.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the planning director.
It does, exactly.
Well,
So-
Mary says that the current building commissioner does not report.
Absolutely.
He's his own department, and he reports directly to her and not to
Yep.
Bethany or anyone else.
Right.
So that's Ralph, you're saying that's a violation of the town charter.
No, actually, it's not a violation. What it's saying is that we're to create a planning and community development department.
And
And
that's,
under that, in other words, what we were trying to do with the charter is to group a bunch of these together so that you go to one location, and when the town hall was reconfigured, everything would have to be in that location. But what I would suggest is, and I thought I had done it, is under departments, when we get to planning and community development, have Article 1, Planning Department, Article 2, Building Department, Article 3. I have it on one of my copies.
No, that's exactly what you did, Ralph. You're correct.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that's the way.
It didn't show up it didn't show up under the paperwork that E-code has. It doesn't break it out into a building department, a planning department under the departments.
It does.
Yeah, I think it does.
yeah, it does.
Like chapter 115 is planning and community development department. And
Yeah.
Article 1 is the establishment of that. And Article 2 is building department. And Article 3 is planning department. Which is, I think, what
But not under the table of contents.
correct, because there's subheadings like articles underneath that department.
Except under the table of contents, when you hit emergency services, police department and fire department are listed under articles.
So you want to add those in?
Well, I'm just saying it broke out emergency services into police and fire. I just assumed planning and community development would also be broken out into the different departments that are listed there, because they are separate departments, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I had no problem adding the article names in the. I guess the problem with that is if Article 1 is the establishment of that department, and then 2 is building and 3 is planning, and no other heading starts with an article that establishes the department. So either.
Sure there is. I mean.
No, I
under
mean in the table of contents, Ralph.
Yeah, no, I'm looking in the table of contents. We have chapter 69 is emergency services.
Right.
Then Article 1 is police department.
Correct.
Article 2 is fire department. So
Correct.
this would be the same thing. Chapter 115 would be planning and community development department.
Yep.
Let's say Article 1 would be building department. Article 2 would be planning department.
Right, but
Obviously-
Article 1 in actual chapter 115 is department established. So do we not list that, or do we say that the department was established in the charter?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's going to get confusing.
Is it really that important?
Well, if you're looking for the building department, it might be.
Yeah, because of
Well,
if we move it around.
and this is what Mary is suggesting, is that the building department should be listed separately. And you're saying that the charter doesn't allow that.
Well, the charter clearly states that it's under the umbrella of community, planning and community development.
So page 28 of the charter, section 8, department C, planning and community development department. There shall be established a planning and community development department under the direction of the town manager. The town
All right.
manager shall appoint a director of planning and the Planning and Community Development Department shall coordinate the functions of the boards, offices, and departments involved in land use regulation and management, including but not limited to the building department, the planning department, zoning board of appeals, and conservation.
But that's like Bethany's in charge of Kevin,
Right.
and that
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
That's what,
It
right.
doesn't say that, though. I mean, it says that basically there's one department that you go to, and there's all those subsection departments within it.
Right, but somebody's the director of planning and community development,
Mm,
right?
Right. Yes.
So something would have to give either in the bylaw or the charter if those departments were to be headed by a department head directly under Mary and not one another.
Then it would have to be done in the charter.
Right, because
Good thing we're looking at it.
right. Because the
Yeah.
original charter, that's right, that the original charter called for the establishment of that planning department.
Yeah.
Right.
So you really don't need that verbiage anymore, do you?
Well, if you just took building department out, it would be accurate
Right.
It would be.
because Bethany takes care of all the boards and the planning department.
Right.
Right.
So,
Yep, that the charter specifically says it'll be in charge of the land use.
Correct.
Then
So-
building is pretty much land use. so-
Correct.
So when we get to that part in the charter review, we'll fix it then. Because it does have to be separated.
I would have to agree that if the charter governs,
Right.
and no matter whether Mary feels that she wants to operate with the building inspector reporting directly to her, she's able to do that. It's just that it's not in conjunction with the charter, but our bylaws do have to be in conjunction with the charter.
Correct.
So I think,
But I think at this point, it'll be easier to change the charter
Mm-mm.
and pull the building department out.
well, we
I
can't change,
disagree.
we can't change the charter. Only you can do that, Bill.
Well, yeah, we're working on that.
But even at that, I mean, it's still got to go to the voters and all of that.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a year. We have
Yeah,
to fix
please.
our bylaws have to reflect what the charter says.
Correct.
But I think a simple, like I said, article, I mean, it may be, chapter 115 is Planning and Community Development Department. Article 1 may say Planning and Community Development Department. Article 2, Building. Article 3, Planning Department.
Are you
Right.
suggesting, Ralph, there are no other multiple member type departments like this?
well, there's a finance director, right?
Finance.
Yeah.
See, that's why I'm not sure that you must put every subhead in the table of contents.
Well, I think municipal finance is broken out as well.
Did.
It is.
The county
is.
inspector and assessors.
We did emergency services, municipal finance, and I
We
thought we
basically-
had
We
planning, but
basically have done all the ones that applies to except for planning.
So there's no breakdown of IT, no subheads under IT,
no.
no subheads under DPW, Public Works, even though we know
Well, I
there's.
wouldn't consider IT a multifaceted department.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
I mean, I don't see,
Well, Public
Any
Works
other-
isn't. Would Public Works, Tom, be one of those departments? Water, sewer?
Water,
highway?
sewer, and stormwater.
Those are
Well, that's
those are
multi,
divisions within
Those
the
are
department.
divisions.
right.
I'll entertain a motion.
I would like to move that the table of contents reflect an article for the building department, an article for the planning department be listed under the Planning and Community Development Department, Chapter 115.
I will second that.
Any
And if
further
anyone wants to adjust that and make it sound better, great.
You did a great job, Ralph.
I think we pointed out that there would be a discrepancy in that Article 1 really is the establishment of the department. And so therefore, Article 1 should be Planning and Development Department, Article 2, Building Department, Article 3, Planning Department.
I would so adjust my motion to reflect that then.
Tom,
Yep, I'll second still.
any further discussion?
Yes, my discussion would be for you, Pat, to repeat that. Article 1. Article 1 would be,
Planning and Development Department. Planning and Community Development Department. Article 2, Building Department. It's basically what is in the draft as it is now.
okay.
And Article 3 will be Planning Department. Good catch, Ralph.
Thank you.
Any
Good
further
minute.
discuss- Any further discussion?
Who seconded that? Who did the second?
Tom did.
Yes, Tom.
Thank you.
So now we need to vote. Bill,
Yes.
Ralph,
Yes.
and Tom.
Yes.
And I will vote a yes as well.
So through the chair, the only other thing, Pat, I noticed in the minutes was a discussion with regards to marijuana.
Yeah.
I believe the question comes up is why do we have it in both the general bylaw and the zoning bylaws?
No, I think
No.
Tom followed up on that, didn't you, Tom?
Yeah. No, we were,
Would you like to jump in?
yeah, so there were I think you had done 2 marijuana chapters, right? And they both wound up right next to each other in the general bylaw, when the second one should have been in the zoning bylaw, right?
No.
And it's there.
No, actually, the
There.
2 chapters are listed correctly, and actually, we voted on it on the February 10th, 2020 minutes. We had talked about this in length, and I'm just trying to go through the minutes really quick.
You are correct, Ralph.
The E code had asked if they could combine the 2 into one chapter, and we said no. There has to be 2 separate chapters because that's the way it was voted into the general bylaws. That there was basically 2 separate things. One was the facilities and stuff like that, and the other one was the allowed uses. I'm not quite sure why or anything without researching the whole thing again.
What happened was the uses stayed in marijuana, but the other went into zoning because it became one of the prohibited uses, and it's now listed under zoning. And I think,
It's supposed to be under zoning also.
and I believe that general code did that.
So I haven't looked,
Excuse
I
me.
haven't gotten, sorry about that. Go ahead, Pat.
But Tom, you found that, right?
Correct. All the,
And did you
What did I
send that
say?
out? Did you send that out to everyone or just me?
everybody, because I wanted Ralph's,
Yeah, that's right. Did you have a chance to see that, Ralph?
So I saw, but I didn't understand what he was talking about, I think.
all right, well, let's see if I can elaborate. So let me just find that email I sent so I don't misquote any sections.
And I found everything you did, Tom.
Okay. Yep.
In other words, all the material
So,
in that second chapter is already in the zoning bylaw.
right. So the prohibited use section, Ralph, 450, 3.1 2G is this 360-1 prohibited use.
Correct.
Okay. And then all the definitions are now in the zoning definitions. So like, that's why I was saying that this seemed to be redundant to have its own chapter when all the information is already in zoning.
Okay, so there was a reason that was done. Our general counsel, when this was voted in, we originally voted to put everything into the zoning bylaws. So we took a vote, the council went through, voted on it, and the marijuana bylaw was put as it is into the zoning bylaws. And the town council, after talking to the AG, realized that we needed the exact same thing put into our general bylaws just to make sure that we were covered. So it's extremely redundant, but the marijuana bylaw is supposed to be listed in the general bylaws and in the zoning bylaws.
If that was the decision, that's what it just seemed redundant. So if you're
Absolutely.
telling me that it was supposed to be, then I mean, the same things in chapter 360, that's in chapter 450. So
Yep.
if
And I don't know why, because it would make sense to me that this would be a zoning issue and not
100%.
a general bylaw. But at that time, Jim Donahue said that you needed it in both.
With the same language, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember the discussion, and it was like, it still doesn't make any sense, but whatever.
yeah,
I'm going to
it's
agree
not-
100%. It makes zero sense to me, but
nothing's contradicting anything else. So
Right. It's the exact
It's
same
not hurting
verbiage.
anything.
just costing us a page.
That's it.
well, the worst part comes in is if we change the language as everything
Yep.
changes, now we not only have to change the zoning bylaw, but now we got to change the general bylaw.
Somebody's got to remember it's sitting in the zoning bylaws too.
Oh, that's easy. Me and Marilyn
okay.
got that under control.
So and not to make too many waves, but is there any way to challenge that decision with new council and say, listen, we're doing this new, recodification. We think this is redundant. Is that actually true that needs to be in both places? Is that a question we ask when we present?
It can't hurt.
Yeah, I have no issue.
The thing is too, that the general code editors are all, work very closely with the Massachusetts Attorney General's office. So I think,
So they knew to leave it in there too then, and that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
right.
I
I think
mean,
if there was a problem with it, they would know or recommend something differently to us.
Okay.
okay.
I think
Works.
we need to keep moving on this, and in view of Ralph's discovery, we probably just need to let sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah.
Not the end of the world. Somebody said an extra page.
Right.
We could even suggest that they be combined, as General Code said originally, but I don't see why we'd even do that.
Yeah. Just leave it the way it is.
Leave it the way it is. Interesting.
Okay, Ralph, you done picking apart our last meeting?
I apologize for not being able to make it to the last meeting. But I
sure.
have to tell you, this is strenuous. Having a full and your neck turning and you're trying to, oh my Lord. And it's like, wait a minute, there's no question that relates to this. Oh yeah, that's right. We made that one up and threw it in.
Yeah, right.
We did a lot of that.
We did.
Anyone else have issues they want to raise at this point?
Bill and I talked a bit about the appendix there. Do you want to take a minute with that, Pat, or no?
Sure, Tom.
The general law acceptance and special acts.
Just to double check that everything was transferred.
Mhm.
And Bill and I basically, aside from some grammar and some capitalizations, and there was really only two things that got me bothered.
Yeah, and I went back and I looked after Tom had sent me the email. I went back and looked, and I concur with what he's about to say.
The first was, and I don't know if everybody has this up.
Where are we?
So on the big draft, it's page 466 of the 480.
Okay.
It's 5/18/2015. Chapter 64L section that says 52. And in our old book, it said S as in Sam 2. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know which one's right, but they
Wow.
did not match.
Right.
I can look that up. Which one is it, Tom?
Chapter
On
60,
466?
oh, I'm
What's
sorry,
the date?
5/18/2015. There's two on that date. It's the first one. Local option meals tax. There was some amazing titles of some of these changes.
Yes, there were.
No bowling on the Lord's Day might have been
That's
my
right.
favorite.
That's right.
Do you disagree with the section?
No, so it when they brought it over, it says section S2, does it not, right there? Or which one are you looking at?
I thought it said section 5.2. No?
Exactly. One of them does and one of them doesn't.
Right. So we're trying to figure out which is right.
Okay, I can look that up.
Okay.
Not now, but I will before that.
Okay.
No, that's okay.
Which
And the-
which
and
one? Which one are you talking about? Says S.
Our original
Original.
bylaw says S2.
Oh, in the red book.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
found a lot of typos in the original
Okay.
bylaws.
Yeah. Yeah, there are.
It's like I said, remember last time I said it was whoever was making those additions to the general
Yes.
bylaws.
Okay.
Right.
I found some actually in the table of the end, the context, the contents.
Okay, so Jeannie's going to look at that, and I wouldn't consider that something we need to vote on or.
Nope.
No.
Thank you. What
And
else?
the last one on the list was this isn't much either, but the subject of the last one is Disability Commission.
Yep.
And originally listed as establish a commission on disabilities. So I don't know what's accurate and what.
I
don't
remember-
think It's a big deal. But
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of them do have establish, increase, deferral.
and actually, that general law is to establish a disability commission. So I think just to have disability commission in the general code is fine.
Okay. Those are the only,
That's it.
it was just more for clarification purposes about what is this. I remember hearing something about it, but I didn't know where it came from.
I would think it would be better to say establishment of disability commission. Or establish, as it says in the prior page, several different areas.
Well, yeah.
Yep, okay, so thank you, guys.
Yep.
That's terrific.
Good job, Bill.
All right. Very good job, Tom. Thank you.
Anyone else?
That was it on that one.
Okay, I will comment that I found the table of contents to be pagination, to be a mess, and didn't realize it. If you look at the table of contents, go back to page 1 of 480.
Fun to look at, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh.
for example, you see town elections and town council, 68.1. These are not references to pages. These are
No,
references.
they're not.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
Yes, it is.
But is that the way bylaws, is that the format for bylaws? Is that the standard format? You don't do the page, you do the section and,
Don't know. That must be their format.
Right. So the page numbers on the left and the
page numbers on the right of the pages.
Well, those aren't the right pages.
No, they're not.
For example, town elections and town council appears on page 49. There's no .1.
yeah. Huh.
They've all got .1 on them after everything.
Cable access television is page 55. And granted, it doesn't say page at the top of the heading,
Right.
but they're all incorrect because the section where you would find them is listed on the left.
So, Pat, because the contents and all that are in Roman numerals, that's why you're off like 8 or 9 pages on all of them. I'm going to assume. So town elections and town council is 37-1, but it's on page 49. So our paginated version is numbered for us. The actual page number of the document is in the center of the page above the, you know what I mean?
No.
So if you go to page 49, town elections and town council, there's the 37-1 in the middle of the bottom of the page.
Hang on.
It's
So
a
he's
different
not-
way of numbering.
These numbers are going to go away, just like the draft's going to go away at the top of the page.
Oh,
See what I mean?
just for draft purposes, this is
Right.
numbered that way?
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense because. Where am I? Yeah. It's the PDF and it's the way it's laid out. It's the format, but I think everything else is correct.
So there's not. Yeah. I don't know what those numbers are on the.
On the right.
No, right.
They're certainly not helpful.
No, not to us.
No, not to us, but I mean, is it worth emailing Claudia to find out what those numbers are?
I could do that.
Yeah, it might be a good idea.
Yeah, I'll do that.
And
Yeah,
find
because they
out-
if they refer to something, we got to know what it is.
Yeah, and find out what they do refer to.
Right.
Well, that makes me feel a little better.
Are they the?
Were they previously in those locations?
Yeah, it was. That's what I was. I don't know. Yeah, that's it.
They were
Yep.
previously there, right?
Yeah, because municipal finances was chapter 26. So
Yeah.
now it's 97, but it used to be 20. So that's just so we can get back to our workbook. It's getting us back to the workbook page.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yep.
just a cross reference.
Do you still want me to question it?
No, I think
Not if you
that
believe me.
it makes sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, the last item that I had from last week that I was following up on was with Amy on the property maintenance, which we agreed to defer to this meeting. And so I went to Amy to check on that because she had added several requests that I didn't think made the final draft. So I've got her approval for the bylaw on nuisance vegetation.
What page are you on, Pat?
This is actually chapter 376, property maintenance.
Are you in the paginated version?
No, I'm actually in the draft questions, but
Okay.
you should be able to find it in 376.
It's
Got it.
page 175 of 480, Bill, on the big one.
Okay, thanks.
So section B didn't quite make it the way she had asked for it. So it will now read, if the agent of the Board of Health notifies the owner of the existence of a nuisance and said owner fails to correct the situation within 10 days, because that's what was in there originally. Within 10 days, the owner is subject to fines as specified in MGL Chapter 111, Section 122. The rest stays the same. So she wanted a set fine to be, a set time period to be listed in there, which they can always set a different time frame if they want, but at least it's in there so everybody knows. And she didn't want to specify a fine because the fine is $1,000 potentially. But they can find that in chapter 111, section 122. And these are both items that she asked would go in there in the original question. Which is 276,003.
Thank you.
Yep.
I was about to ask that.
Because I got my notes from visiting with her and it says, can't remove 10 days. And no fines are shown in 122. Well, it's not true. There are fines shown there. It's $1,000. Up to,
Right,
or not exceeding or something like that.
yeah.
Very, again, very modest change to it. Just simply putting the 10 days back in and as specified in, as opposed to saying subject to, say is subject, not will be.
So Pat, when we did the questions, how did we answer the questions? Like 276,003.
We said revise as suggested. And I have a note on my copy that says leave in red, the 10 days. There was a lot of back and forth on that and a couple of visits.
There was, I don't have anything marked on mine except whose suggestion was it, and then I've got crossouts and adjustments, and I can't make heads or tails of it.
The last thing I put was a question mark because I've got basically the same thing as you, Ralph.
That's because you guys all, I took it over and I went down to Amy to get the results.
Okay.
And somehow they didn't get in. And when I went back to her, she repeated the same thing. She says the 10 days helps her, and the not listing the fine specifically is okay because it's in the MGL.
So when I look at what we submitted, the 10 days is crossed off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So we put revise as suggested. Then we have a revision as follows for section C. That should say the cost of correction plus administrative fee of $200 shall be assessed against the property. And that's what they have in there in the
Yep.
draft.
right.
Yeah, I'm saying that went in and it went in incorrectly because she had insisted that she wanted the 10 days to stay in.
So the problem was question 276,001 was the same thing. And we have revised as follows, and it's her note.
I had all of that crossed off and we said do not revise.
I've got do not revise and everything crossed off.
But after Pat talked to Amy, that changed, and the workbook Jeannie submitted for the question 1 there was revised as follows, and it's basically that sentence that's in that box.
Right.
Okay,
Because we were deferring to the department head as we had been the whole time.
I
But then
found
I
this,
see that in our question that we 276,001, like you said, it has the 10 days in there. So it's fighting itself. We had submitted it with the 10 days and without the 10 days.
right.
I found this to be true in several other areas too, where I don't think they understood a connection between 2 or 3 similar questions of the same topic. And they
Right.
sometimes didn't choose correctly. And that's the case here. So I don't know if we care to vote on this or just make sure Jeannie has the correct.
I'm flipping. So this is draft question number 4.
Yes.
So that's why they're asking. So do we want to say something to the flavor of keep the 10 days in?
No, because we've changed a couple of other wording in there as well. So I would simply repeat the entire B,
Okay.
but after it says correct the situation within, the first line, second line.
Yeah.
After within, it's 10 days.
Okay.
And after that, the owner is subject to fines as specified. And the rest is the same.
Okay.
So probably would be best to just retype the whole thing rather than try to,
Mm-hmm.
unless you can easily redline it or something.
So we've crossed out the set time frame, and that's replaced with 10 days,
Yes,
Right.
and we've crossed
And-
out will be,
and that is.
and we crossed out listed under and replaced it with as specified in. Because they're not listed, there's only one,
Okay.
and it's a biggie.
So,
I think that takes care of the draft questions.
right.
Yep.
So obviously we're checking revise as follows, and
Just plugging in a new B
Mm-hmm. Okay.
would be my suggestion, make it easier for them.
Makes sense.
Okay, this brings to mind another issue. I'm finding when I go into the various departments and the write-ups for the various departments, I'm finding that we have removed a lot of verbiage that used to be in the Red Book, in our original bylaws as they're online in the Red Book. We've removed a lot of that verbiage, mostly as a result of requests in the initial Google Doc, but also sometimes as a result of the rewrites of the various departments with the standard formatting. And we've had some changes in ownership, if you will, of various departments. And I'm wondering at what point should we send this 480-page document out to have them look at it, so that they can find things that we would not see. I'm similar to the Charter Commission, looking at it fresh, but not looking at any input. Here we have input that we could get from all these people, all these department heads, looking at their individual section and saying, hey, that's not what we said, or that's fine. And I would hate that there were major changes in there that they disagreed with, even though we could support them, if we sprung them on them at the last minute.
That seems like it would be time consuming. And I wonder if they wouldn't be able to put their input in during the public hearings for this. I don't know how everybody else feels. It'd almost be like a mini of what we did before. Send it all out, have a deadline for them to get back to us.
I wouldn't suggest a deadline. Say
How would
this,
you propose they review it?
pardon me?
How would you propose they review it? Is it a review? Is your
Oh,
thing?
no, I'm not saying review it. I'm just saying send it out to them. This is the final draft. Any comments are welcome, appreciated. I would hate to wait until public hearings. And then you have the council involved. We are unprepared as a committee to look at our materials. Well, actually, half of us are on the council. We'd have to be in the public hearing. We'd have to find our materials as to why we chose what we did. I'd like to get as many items resolved as possible so that the public hearing is for the public and not for the department heads. Tom, you're a department head almost.
Almost, yeah. So I guess I would make a suggestion if that were the case, that we wouldn't send the whole document to everyone. I feel like the first draft of these comments were people commenting on things that really weren't in their purview. There were quite a few.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, those were the characters that were there.
No, I know, but they were also making comments outside of their department.
Yes, yeah.
And a lot of them. So
Yes.
can we send the IT department to Ryan? What do you think? This is how it's going in. What do you think? And what do we need everyone's comments on everybody else's section?
No, certainly
Not at this point.
Certainly not. We don't want it.
Well,
Well, of course.
We want
we
comments
try-
on their own section, but it's very hard to break some of those out. You've
Well,
got
we saw what happened the first time when we did that. Everybody was all over the map, and I think the same thing could happen this time.
Well, that's what Tom is saying. Yeah.
Right, but I don't know how difficult it'll be to break out IT and send it to Ryan, or send, zoning somewhere, or, some of these are going to be easy. Some are going to be real time consuming.
I think that'd be a big job
I think it is too.
to separate them out. I think that
As opposed to
we just
wading
sent,
through a 480-page document to find out what's.
if we just sent the document out and saying, look at your area only.
Okay.
I think you can actually click on each section and download it individually. Am I wrong for that? Let me just look at the health department.
Oh, if on the website.
I'm still in the paginated one.
So Pat,
And you can download individual chapters and sections, I believe.
I'm just going to throw my 2 cents in here. I can tell you every time I read it, I come up with suggestions on improvements and language and this and that. And most of the times what we go with the first one, it may not be worded exactly the way I would like or whatever, but it says what we need to. I think we could send it out, get the corrections, we could rewrite it, send it out again, and we would get just as many suggestions on changes. We could probably do it 10 times before they got frustrated and said, I'm not giving you any more suggestions. But again, I do understand what you're saying.
I'll just repeat that there are many areas that I find when I go through the material that Tom O'Connor gave me in pages 11 through 20, where there's a great amount of material that was in our red books and is no longer there. We did not disclose this to the town council. We just said, oh, we rewrote that section, but it's basically just reorganized. But there's a lot of information that was in the original document that was approved by town council or by selectmen or town meeting beforehand that is no longer there as a result of probably the Google Doc. And I was never aware of that. And some of it, like I say, most of it is been removed by the department head in favor of a slimmed down version, and that's okay, but there are new department heads. Bethany, finance,
Soon to be Carolyn.
yeah. No. So that's the only reason I bring it up. And I agree with everyone. There's problems either way. We as a group could discuss some of the issues I find, and then we can decide this later. Any further discussion on that point for now?
No, and I agree with what everybody's saying, that, you know, we could look at this, we could send it out 10 different times,
Over
and before people get frustrated, it's going to come back looking different.
Yep.
You know, let's trust ourselves that we're going to catch some of the stuff, and let's move on, because we'll be here for another 3 years if we do it that way.
So,
Uncle,
Pat, is there any way for you to forward me what Tom had given you so that I can actually look at it and see what he's talking about? Because I've been going through the zoning, and the first 4 pages of my zoning questions were spot on. Exactly what I had in my book. They made the changes and everything looks good.
Ralph, that's because your section goes pretty much according to the questions. The section
Yeah.
that Tom had actually is primarily all the different definitions of the departments and different
Okay.
definitions of the boards. And
See,
so-
I,
And a lot of that's going to be changed. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's,
Yeah.
and it's probably fine, but I can't, no, it's all scribbled notes at this point,
Okay.
and copies of what the old
Right.
one was, what the new one was,
Okay.
and we haven't discussed it yet. So no, I can't get it to you. I have to
Yeah,
give,
no. I just was trying to get a feel for what he was talking about because,
Right.
boy, I'm pretty happy with my section so far.
I've been through my section, and I'm finding very few differences. A lot of, you know, some typos here and there. They increased, you know, I don't want to get too far off topic. They've increased fines that we didn't do. So, I mean, that's where we're going to, you know, we'll talk about that stuff when we get there.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing, is it's the fines that I found in the sections that I went through.
I also found in the first section much fewer problems than I anticipated. Tom
Yeah.
seemed to have the section which was filled with all the different new departments and new arrangements and new descriptions. Tom, how are you finding your part?
Okay, I've been through the traffic regulation piece. There'll be some things to talk about, but not a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So basically, and Ralph, have you had a chance to go through your 10 pages?
I've been through about half of them, and there was really one question that jumped out, and it had to do with a fine.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Well, that's very reassuring.
It
Because
is. I mean, it went a lot easier than I thought it was going to go once I got into it. Because once I get into my workbook, everything went in order, and that was easier.
Exactly.
So why don't we do what we did with the draft questions, and we'll punt the last one till the end, and we'll do the easy stuff.
We could do that. We could do that.
I'm definitely good with that. And I may be able to do some further research to find out from the Google Doc whether this stuff came from there, which could make a difference.
Yeah, it could.
Jeannie, any comments at this point?
No,
Okay, so we're putting off the decision about whether to send it out to everybody. It looks like we probably won't, but we're not making a final decision. And we are putting off the section that Tom had. And we can prepare to move at our next meeting into, unless folks want to spend another few minutes on either Tom's or Bill's easy stuff.
Well, I mean, I think we're at a point where if everybody's in agreement, we can adjourn and start fresh the next time on my stuff. and cruise through that.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Wait a minute.
We need to discuss
Uh-oh,
that's the next meeting.
uh-oh.
I tried.
Yeah, we almost pulled it off.
That's the discussion.
Okay, what's the, uh-oh, wait a minute.
Jeannie, do you have the calendar that we're supposed to be looking at?
Yeah, I'll get that up. And I couldn't share it with you for some reason, so that's why I didn't.
I didn't want it.
Looking for you, looking at Wednesdays. The 14th, I guess Don already plugged it in at 4:30, but there's a Board of Public Works meeting, Tom?
The 14th of this month?
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe he plugged it in.
That sounds assuring.
Yeah, no
I have
kidding.
I have it on the 22nd.
October.
Yep.
I don't have anything on the town calendar. Let
Okay.
me look on the website. See if it's been, do you think it's been posted yet?
Mm-mm.
No.
Well, it has.
That's typically the first email to make sure that we have a quorum on that date, and then we say yes.
So it's been posted on the town calendar, I mean on the website calendar for October 22nd at 4.
Okay.
So it's not, so when I'm looking on this shared calendar, the Google calendar, it says the 21st. So I guess the 21st is open.
What about the 14th?
Yeah, we're back to the
Yeah,
14th.
we
I
should
was
be
sorry
looking at
about that. The 14th,
the 14th or 15th.
well, it shows a BPW meeting there.
Well, we know that's not going to happen. They're not going to hold them
The
2 weeks
town, right?
apart. Was that plugged in because they usually met at a certain, every other Wednesday or something?
Oh,
Hey, I
No.
tried.
sporadic.
Is down here? Don Mackey?
No, I don't think he's there.
Okay.
He's muted if he is.
Let me see if I can call him. Hold on.
So just to let everyone know, the last week in October, I will not be available.
And that's more important now than ever.
Well, as we go along, just to make sure, like I said, it's just one of those that I am leaving. I'm leaving on the 22nd, and I won't be back until the 2nd of November. So I know everyone's going to miss me, but that's okay.
Big time, big time. So what are we looking at though before Jeannie gets to, we're looking at Wednesday or Thursday? I would prefer Thursday, but
And I would prefer Wednesday.
okay.
Don's not answering, so.
I've got an appointment at 2:30, but I should be back by 3:30. So if we wanted to do 4 o'clock on Wednesday, that would work.
And you, Tom? You just don't know because you're still
I
not.
want to say I don't have the master calendar with me, which is my wife's calendar. But I'm gonna guess. I think I have a doctor's appointment at 5 o'clock that day, so you could get a good hour out of me or so.
Back to the 14th, I just called, Don called me back. 4:30 would be available on the 14th.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, that would work. I have a broadband meeting at 3, but 4:30 would be fine.
4:30 would work great for me.
But it won't work for Tom, right?
Not for you, Tom.
Well, they canceled my last appointment, so maybe I'll just do it to them this time.
Some of those are hard to get.
Yeah, a lot of them are hard to get.
So the 14th at 4:30?
I don't know. Do we want to look at Friday?
No,
No.
I mean, I can do 4:30 next Wednesday.
Hang on.
You mean the
Yeah,
14th?
that's the 14th.
14th,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. I guess. And Tom, if you can't make it, we'll go through Bill's stuff.
Well, we'll go through zoning, which seems to be easy right now, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll make progress as long as at least 3 of us are.
Yeah, we can definitely, like I said, I don't think mine's gonna take all that long.
It's okay. Tom can call in on his phone.
Okay.
What makes you think my doctor's appointment's in person?
Yeah, that's true.
You just swap back and forth, yeah.
Yeah. The
Oh,
phone is
yeah,
one
that'll
hand,
work.
the computer on the other.
Yeah,
So I would just one more thing. You guys will you'll be limited to an hour and 15 minutes then,
Oh, that's perfect.
oh, that's
because we have
fine.
Concom at 6.
Okay,
So next Wednesday at 4:30.
next Wednesday at 4:30. We tried.
Yes, we
Thanks,
did.
guys. Okay, there's a motion on the floor. That was just discussion. There's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Bill,
Yes.
Ralph,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Don.
Sorry for
Don.
the
Thanks.
sorry for the quick absence. I had to run out to the soccer field, but all set.
Thank
And of
Thank
many
you, everyone.
talents.
thank
Yes.
you.
See ya.